Welcome to my monthly Buddhist podcast, What's Your Favourite Cake? A podcast about how I use the daily practice of Nichiren Daishonin's Buddhism in my life. This is my journey and how I use my Buddhist practice to enhance my life, but with the hope that I can inspire you on your journey too. What's Your Favourite Cake is available on Spotify as well as my YouTube channel, which is also where you'll find videos with audio that we can all chant along to, as well as Buddhist study videos with my take on various Goshos, as well as basics of Buddhism topics too. Before we start, I'd like to say a big thank you to all the people supporting me through my Nigel the Buddha Patreon account, because none of my content would be possible without you. Hi Buddhas! How you doing today? Hope you're all well. Welcome to another episode of my Buddhist podcast, What's Your Favourite Cake? Okay, so for the next couple of months, I'll be revisiting a selection of Gosho videos that I previously did a few years ago. They're all on my YouTube channel, so go have a look if you want to watch these in full. I hope that's okay with you. It's always nice to do a bit of Buddhist study, don't you think? I think so anyway. I love it. I love studying Buddhism. The philosophy, principles makes total sense. And it makes sense of how I feel so much joy when I chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. So for the next couple of episodes, I think I'd like to revisit my favourite points of those Goshos and how they've helped me in my life. You might have other favourites of your own, of course, so apologies if I don't cover those. But I hope you can be in some way inspired by mine. Okay, so I have my tea and I have my cake. It looks like I'm well sorted. Gather round, good people, with your cuppa and cake of choice, and let's begin. First things first though, what is a Gosho and what does it mean? Well, the word Gosho literally means honourable writings. Nichiren Daishonin wrote many letters of encouragement to his followers, as well as letters remonstrating with government authorities. And these letters, both individually and collectively, are called the Gosho. The first Gosho I'd like to revisit is one Nichiren wrote to Shijo Kingo in 1278, and it's called The Three Kinds of Treasure. Shijo Kingo was a samurai retainer and, on the face of it, a very passionate person, but very loyal to the Daishonin. In fact, as loyal as one can get, because when Nichiren was taken to Tatsunokuchi to be beheaded in 1271, Shijo Kingo accompanied him, resolving to die by his side. I'm not sure you can get any more loyal than that, right? So in this Gosho, Nichiren writes this to Shijo: "Your face bears definite signs of a hot temper, but you should know that the heavenly gods will not protect a short-tempered person, however important they may think he or she is." Shijo was having a really rough time and clearly very angry at the situation he found himself in. This also describes me. Except I'm not sure I have such a hot temper, although others may disagree. Yeah, they may disagree. Hopefully not, but they may. But in all seriousness, I do often feel frustrated in certain circumstances. Buddhism comes from within, doesn't it? Meaning we control our environment. When we change, our environment changes. You know that, I know that, but actually I find it hard to accept sometimes. I really do. What about you? Can you relate? I hope so. No, I hope you can't relate, because then that means you also find it hard to accept sometimes. Oh, but then that means it's just me on my own. I don't want to think about that either. Oh no, I don't know what to think anymore. In the same Gosho, The Three Kinds of Treasure, Nichiren further explains this. He writes, "When the Buddha nature manifests itself from within, it will receive protection from without." Further on in the Gosho, he writes, "The heart of the Buddha's lifetime of teaching is the Lotus Suture, and the heart of the practice of the Lotus Suture is found in the Never Disparaging chapter." What does Bodhisattva Never Disparaging's profound respect for people signify? The purpose of the appearance in this world of Shakyamuni Buddha, the Lord of Teachings, lies in his behaviour as a human being. Many times I've regretted my actions towards others. Many times I've regretted what I've said to others. Does that sound familiar to you? I mean, after all, we're only human, aren't we? That's my excuse anyway. I joke, but boy oh boy do I really berate and disparage myself afterwards, after I've upset someone or after I've treated someone so badly. I mean, really berate myself, like I'm the worst person in the world and I deserve to be punished. Those are real thoughts that I have. But I think I'm still suffering a degree of trauma from my upbringing. Something I've gone into in previous podcasts. Because it seems to me that, well, these aren't exactly typical actions of a Buddhist, right? I think that's the common thought anyway. But that's how it is for me sometimes, I'm afraid. It really is. Whether I disparage myself, or disparage others, or even my environment, it all comes down to the fact that I'm not respecting myself, right? And ultimately I'm making negative causes anyway. I'm happy to say though, in the end I always do return to a calm state, and then I'm able to realise that in order to improve my circumstances, I need to change myself first. How do I achieve that? Well, by chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, of course, but I have an extra strategy. I remember in 2017 I had my second stay in a mental health hospital. And even though I was clearly not well, I was sane enough, if you like, to remember my chanting beads and the July edition of UK's SGI Buddhist magazine, Art of Living. So I was in my hospital room and kind of randomly picked up the magazine, and I fell upon this page where I was intrigued because this person, well, he used the Gosho on the treasure tower to help improve his circumstances, and his experience was kind of all about him realising that he's the treasure tower. And I was inspired by this, so inspired in fact that I decided to chant for 5 hours every day. And what helped me focus was using this person's experience. I was chanting aloud, but in my head I was reciting, "I am a Buddha, I am the treasure tower," over and over in my head when I was chanting aloud Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. That really helped me. In the Gosho on the treasure tower, Nichiren wrote, "No treasure tower exists other than the figures of the men and women who embrace the Lotus Suture. It follows, therefore, that whether eminent or humble, high or low, those who chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo are themselves the treasure tower." But what is the treasure tower? And why do I recite it in my head when chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo? Well, the treasure tower is a metaphor for the emergence from deep within the human being of the highest state of life. This metaphor depicts the treasure tower emerging from the earth and hovers in midair, depicting our lofty potential. It's so tall you can't see over it, and so wide you can't see round it, and it's adorned with the world's most precious jewels, which depict how precious each and every human is. I can't help but smile when I'm reading that. So beautiful, right? Love it. But if only I could freely feel my life is as precious. Most of the time I do feel that, honestly, I really do. But it does sometimes takes huge effort to stop myself descending down that negative spiral that I can go down. So reciting I am a Buddha, I am the treasure tower in my head when I'm chanting helps a great deal. It helps me to focus on my Buddhahood, my higher self. Thank goodness we have the Gosho explained for us, because, well, before I knew that the treasure tower was a metaphor, I thought, well, quite clearly the earth didn't open up and a huge tower not only emerged from the earth but hovered above the ground. What a load of rubbish, I thought. What a massive dollop of nonsense. But back in 13th century Japan, of course, they didn't have the amazing resources that we have. So 84-year-old Abutsubo wrote to the Daishonin, amongst other things, asking him to explain the significance of the treasure tower. 84 years old. Wow. I think that's truly amazing. To have such a wonderful seeking spirit at such an age. Wow. And Nichiren Daishonin agrees, because he wrote, Abutsubo, you deserve to be called a leader of this northern province. Could it be that Bodhisattva pure practices has been reborn into this world as a Abutsubo and visited me? How wonderful! How marvellous! I do not understand how it is that you have such faith. I will leave it to Bodhisattva superior practices when he appears, as he has a power to know these things. I am not saying this without good reason. I love that so much. So encouraging. I really hope you have people in your life that are just as encouraging. In fact, I hope that you are that person that encourages others as well, that really inspires others in the same way. I like to think I do. I like to think I'm just as encouraging. But of course, it's not always the case. I'm afraid. Anyway, before we finish this podcast episode, let's look at Nichiren Daishonin's response to Abutsubo, who, if you remember before I rambled on yet again, asked the Daishonin to explain the significance of the treasure tower, and this is Nichiren's response. At present, the entire body of the Honourable Abutsubo is composed of the 5 elements of earth, water, fire, wind and space. These 5 elements are also the 5 characters of the Daimoku. Abutsubo is therefore the treasure tower itself, and the treasure tower is Abutsubo himself. No other knowledge is purposeful. So I am a Buddha. I am the treasure tower. And the same goes for you. You are a Buddha, and you are the treasure tower. We are all precious as the treasure tower. I sincerely hope you realise that. You have been listening to What's Your Favourite Cake, a monthly podcast about how I use Buddhism in my life. Come chant with me on my YouTube channel when I go live, and check out my Inspirational Quote video shorts too. Thank you so much for your support.